You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
Right now, the stock market all-time high. Well, it's an election year. Steve Moore, one of the country's leading economists, behind Larry Kudlow, and is on after Larry Kudlow on the WABC.
More
on Saturdays.
More money.
More money. Tell us, the markets has hit all-time highs. The inflation is down. I'm shocked. Oh, 60 days from the election, all that is happening? I'm shocked.
Like gambling in Vegas.
Yeah, here's the problem, guys. Yeah, you're right. The stock market is high, and so that's great. But I have to tell you, for middle class people, when you tell them that inflation is only like 3%, they roll their eyes because I paid, my wife and I paid the bills here in the Moore household, and I got to tell you, our costs are up, Rita, 30-40%. Just the insurance on our house. I'm paying more on insurance and property tax now than I paid practically for the mortgage. And this is one of the reasons it's so hard for people to achieve the American dream now of owning a home because it's just so expensive. So I think people have a hard time. You know how they fudged the numbers on the jobs? Remember that?
Yeah, you mean 818,000? Yeah. Suddenly they were off by 818,000 jobs.
Well, when you include like their, the difference between their first estimates, the headline numbers, and the revisions, probably more like 1 million, Rita. But, I just have a hard time understanding how they can say inflation is only growing at 3% when people's costs are up so high. And the other thing is, as you guys know, these costs are baked in the cake. In other words, the 20% increase in the inflation since Biden and Harris came into office, that hasn't gone away. Those high prices are still there, and what we need to do actually is show people, what did a loaf of bread cost? What did a dozen eggs cost? What did you have to pay for your utility bill versus now? I mean, just go down the list. And you're talking about 25, 30, 35% increases in costs.
But Steve Moore, last night in the interview with Kamala Harris, she said she blamed Donald Trump for inflation yet again. It's like as if she suddenly popped on the scene. And then she also did something interesting. She stood by Bidenomics. She said, oh, yes. And she said, I'm proud of XXX. How is that going to come back to bite her?
Yeah. Well, look, I guess I would say, folks, if you think Bidenomics has been a success, if you're feeling better about things today than when Trump was president, and I don't think many people do. I mean, Rita, for the last 2 or 3 years, including up to this month, 2 out of 3 Americans say the country is going in the wrong direction. So, who are you going to believe, Kamala or, the whole American electorate that feels like they're just having a hard time? They're under what I call a financial squeeze right now. That's the reason, by the way, that the credit card debt is a record high. People are having to borrow on their credit cards just to pay their bills. That's an unhealthy situation.
Ed Cox.
Steve, don't we really have a split economy which explains this? And that is that maybe 20% of the people are doing well because the stock market's up, their home values are up, they're paying low interest rate on their mortgages. But most of the people who live paycheck to paycheck are really hurting, as you pointed out. And the Democratic Party has become the party of those elites, while we're, the people you're talking about who are really hurting are becoming, under President Biden, they're becoming supporters of him and the Republican Party.
No doubt about that. Yeah, they're the forgotten voters. They're the forgotten Americans who work hard, working 40 or 50 hours a week, like all of us do, right? We're working hard, and people, especially, I talk to the Uber drivers, I talk to the people who do the service jobs, at restaurants and things like that. And I can't tell you how many people, they'll see me on Fox News or somebody, they'll just tell Donald Trump, keep doing what he's doing. He's great. He's fantastic. So, it's the working class Americans who love the message of Trump of make America great again. And by the way, I was thinking that maybe, when Kamala Harris has her debate with Donald Trump, do you think she's going to have Tim Walz there and standing next to her? I got to ask my coach here what the answer to that question is. And I listened to, I didn't listen to the whole debate. I mean, the whole interview.
It wasn't that long.
I know. Well, I was going to say, though, I'm still waiting for an answer about what she's going to do on day one.
Yeah, it was. I call it word salad. That's what it was. It was word salad. It like tossed all over the place. Steve Moore.
I'm thinking, am I stupid or did I miss something? Because
no,
she went on for 2 minutes
and said
I
nothing.
Don't understand what she's going to do.
Yeah, you needed a translator. That's how I felt. Steve Moore, we love you. Thank you so much.
We're going to be on tomorrow.
Donald Trump knows what he's going to do, John.
Well, tomorrow,
Baby Joe.
Saturday, Larry Kudlow from 10 to 1. Steve Moore, more money from 1 to 3. 5 hours. 5 hours of economics of which way our economy is going.
No other radio station has 5 hours of the best economics you're going to get.